Okay, so let's continue with the WebDriver. So yeah, like in the last class, like what happened was like why the Internet Explorer wasn't working. Like it was able to open the browser, but it was not clicking on any of the object because see, actually over the weekend, like my Windows like system got upgraded to Windows 10, and that's how the settings got changed. Okay, see, let me open it. Okay, let me mute you all. Okay, so if you go to the settings, see settings, internet options, and then go to the security. See, like here, like you have something called as enable protected mode. Like you need to check that this is enabled, either selected or deselected in all these 4 tabs. See, now this is selected here. If I go go to the local internet, see, this is enabled, this is checked in, and see, even with this it's checked. So all the 4 should be either checked or either unchecked. Okay, so then only like it is going to work. So, and not only that, this is one thing that you need to make sure. And also one more thing is, see, the zoom percent should be 100. So the zoom percent should be 100 always. If it is like anything 125, 150 or 75, then it's not going to work. Okay, so it should be 100% itself. So these are the 2 things that you need to make sure before you execute something. Okay, so it will open the browser, but it does not recognize the objects. Okay, so that's why it's better to check that first, and then only like we can like we then only like Selenium can or WebDriver can understand or recognize the objects in that application. Okay, so now like let's see, like let's try to create a new browser. So now I made those changes, so let me create a new class, and let's say I'll give it as Amazon underscore, let's say, or script. Okay, just like I'm giving it as Amazon script, and let's use the main method and click on finish. So which will give me the class and the main method in it. Okay, so now like what I'll do is, so let me minimize this. Yeah, so now first of all, like we want to use the WebDriver and like we want to open the application. Okay, so for that, like we need to create the WebDriver object. See, WebDriver, let's say something like driver equal to new, whatever the driver that we want to create, either a Chrome driver or a Firefox driver or an Internet Explorer driver or Safari driver. So let's say I want to work with the Internet Explorer driver. Okay, and open and close the brackets. So it's giving me an error. See, and we have to import the WebDriver and we have to import the Internet Explorer driver. Okay, so both of them have been, like all the errors have been gone, so because of the imports. Okay, so not only that, like we also saw that like we need a exe file or the driver server exe file that we need to run before executing that. So for Firefox, like we don't need to do anything, but if it is a Chrome or a Internet Explorer, like we need to have that driver. Okay, so I already downloaded it and I sent it yesterday. See, let's say I'll go to the jars. See, these are the two drivers. Like one is for the Chrome driver and the other one is the IE driver server, and we need the path for them. See, so if you want to execute that or set the path, see, system dot set property. Okay, system dot set property, and the first property is WebDriver dot IE dot driver. Okay, so that's the property, and the second one is path. Like we need to provide the path of the driver. So see, I stored it at this location, jar slash IE driver server. See this, and let me go back here, sorry, my jar files, and I'll get the name of that file, IE driver server dot exe slash dot exe. Okay, So as it is a path, we need to give 2 backslashes. Sorry. Like this. Okay, and semicolon. Okay, see, actually when there is a error, like you will get this symbol, and when you try to save it, see, there is an error symbol here, there is a red mark here, red mark here. So that means there is something wrong in our code, there is some syntax error. Okay, and if you see on this side, see, there is a red color mark over here, and if you hover over it, see, it says syntax error, insert semicolon to complete the block statements. Okay, so whenever there is a syntax error in your script, this is what is going to happen. Okay, and even if you try to execute it, like it does not do it, like it will simply say that there is an error in your workspace. Okay, so you need to come back to your code and you need to fix it. See, now I put a semicolon, and when I save it, see, all the errors are gone. Okay, so this is what the syntax error is. So you need to make sure on which line there is an error, then you need to go and fix that error first before saving and before executing it. Okay, so now WebDriver driver equal to new Internet Explorer driver. So this one creates a Internet Explorer driver to us. Okay, and now like what we want to do, like it will launch a Internet Explorer. When you execute this, it will launch a blank Internet Explorer. So in that Explorer, like you need to pass your URL. Okay, so if you want to pass, let's say some URL, like see, driver dot get. So driver dot get is the command or the method that you need to use to navigate to specific URL. Okay, and in here, like you need to give the path of it. See, the codes I'll give http://www dot, let's say I want to open amazon.com. Okay, so this will launch the amazon.com. Okay, and now let's see that it takes some time for the application to display all the objects in that page. So to open the browser, then open all the objects in the amazon.com, so it might take some time. So what we need to do is, like, we need to synchronize our script and make sure that our script waits until all the objects in the page are displayed properly. So for that we can use something called as thread.sleep. Okay, and it's in milliseconds. See, let's say I'll give 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds. Okay, and when you save it, see, there is a error here. It says, if you hover over it, it says unhandled exception type interrupted exception. So it says like you need to handle an exception. So just say, select this, like add throws declaration and select the exception here. So any type of exception, it will be handled. Okay, so now we are asking Qtip, or sorry, the WebDriver or the code to wait for 2 seconds until our application is displayed. Okay, and now see, after doing this, let's say you want to click on something in the application. Okay, so let me open the Firefox. Okay, or we can execute this code and see whether Amazon is getting opened or not, launched or not. See, right click, run as Java application. Okay, so as I used Internet Explorer, see, Internet Explorer is displayed and with amazon.com in it. Okay, so Amazon has been displayed. So let's say now I want to click somewhere on this page. Let's say I want to click on this edit box or on the search button or like on something else. So, or let's say amazon.com, today's deals or gifts, gift cards and registry, something like some or any of the object. So what we need to do is we need to know the properties of that object. Then only like we will be able to click. So for example, let's say I want to click on this sign on link. Hello, sign on your account or whatever that link is. So I need to know the properties of that object. Then only I'll be able to click. Okay. So to do that, like to know the properties of the object, like I said, like we need to use the Firefox and the Firebug. Okay. So we need to install the Firebug tool. Okay. So let's go to Amazon. So amazon.com and see in Firefox. So this is the Firefox browser, and like here now you need to, with the help of the Firebug, we can know the properties of that object. See, let me click on this Firebug. which will open a new window, and here we can select the HTML. Okay, so now using this icon, like the cursor key, okay, or the arrow mark, like I can click on that. Okay, now go into the application and select whichever the object that I want to click. Okay, so let's say I want to click on this one. Okay, or maybe this. Okay, or see, yeah, I want to click on this icon, so I'll select this one. Okay, which will give me the properties of that object. Okay, so this is the HTML code for that specific object. Okay, and every object will have some properties. See, one is, like I said, like in the last previous class, like like you can recognize the object in different ways. Like you can recognize with the help of a ID, okay, and a name. See, let me open a notepad. Like you can recognize with the help of a ID property or a name property, or there is something called as XPath. Then you have CSS, and then you have link text. Okay, so there are these five different properties using which you can recognize the object. Okay, and these properties will be given to the object by the developers. Okay, so when they are developing the application, they will give all these properties to the object, and in that way, see, if you see here, see, there is a ID property, ID navlink your account, class equal to this, href equal to something. Okay, so these are all different properties that object is having. Okay, so as this object is having ID, we can use this ID and then we can select that object. Okay, so I'll copy this one, see, Control C, and now I'll go back to our Eclipse. Okay, see, now what I'll do is driver dot. Okay, so first thing is we need to find that object. Okay, we need to find that object with the help of the property, and then once you find it, you need to perform some operation on that. Okay, so driver dot, see, find element. Okay, and in this find element, so this, with the help of this find element, you can find the object. Okay, and in that you have to specify by which property you want to verify. See, by dot, let's say ID. Okay, because we got the ID from that application, so ID in the codes we need to give that ID. See, like this. So with the help of this code, like our tool can understand, or the WebDriver can understand what that object is. Okay, once it finds that object, like what we want to do, let's say we want to click on that object, so we can use the click method like this. Okay, so driver dot find element to find an object with the help of the property ID, and once you find it, I want to click on that. Okay, so let's save this, close our old browser. Even if it is also present, nothing will happen. And see, let me run this again and see. So it launched the application. See, it clicked on that. Okay, so it clicked on that. So our code is working. So whatever the code that we have written, it is working. So it's able to recognize this object and click on that object. Okay, so that's what we exactly want to do in the application. Okay, so now what we want to do, let's say, see, we clicked on this application. Okay, so okay, so let's say, for example, like you want to log into the application. Okay, you want to log in, or your test case says that enter a wrong username and password. Okay, see, let me come to this application. So let's say I'll enter something, tester2 at something test.com. like our test case says that enter a wrong username and password and click on the sign in button. So I'll enter something here, click on the sign in button. Okay, so we need to get this error message. So what we need to do to verify this, whether there was a problem, your password is incorrect, to verify this message, what we need to do, we need to enter the username and password. Okay, a wrong username and a wrong password. So for that, like you need to enter text using your code into the application. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So now we clicked on it. So now we want to enter something into that edit box. So same thing, driver, using the driver, you have to find the object. Okay, find element, and let me go to this and get the property of this email. See, click on this and select the email edit box. Okay, see, even our email has a ID. Okay, so and even it has a name also. See, if you see here, it has a name property, and if you see here, it's a ID property. So our object has like two properties. So you can select name property, or you can select the email like ID property. So as we already selected the ID, let's now select the email. So I'll copy this name property. Okay, so hopefully you guys are able to see it. Otherwise, let me see if I can increase the font. Yeah, I don't see any option. Okay, but see, like name property, we got it. So let's go back to our tool. See, by dot name. Okay, so now I'm selecting by dot name. So previously I did with the ID, but now with the name. See, name, email. Okay, then dot. So now what we want to do, we want to enter some text into it. So how to enter the text is, see, send keys. There is a method called send keys. That object dot send keys, and then we need to pass whatever the value that you want to enter. So let's say tester at something test.com, like this. Okay, driver dot find element by name, this is dot send keys, this. Okay, so now we want to enter the password also. Like we need to get the password properties. See, click on this and select this. Okay, so again, even this has a ID as password. So if you see here, see that code will be, that part of the code will be highlighted in blue. So input ID equal to AP underscore password, which is the name ID of that edit box, and see, this is the name of that edit box. Okay, so this way, like you can get your ID and the name of that object. So you can either use ID or name, like how we did now. Okay, not only that, see, you also have something called as XPath and CSS. So we can also use those properties also. Okay, and for that, like we need to have some tool called Firepath. So whatever that we saw is a Firebug, and if you see here, see, there is something called as Firepath. Okay, so you need to install Firebug, and also you need to install Firepath. I think I already sent you the information of how to install it. Okay, so we can just open the Firefox, go to Google and search Firebug, and then install it. Firepath, search Firepath and install it. So those are just like add-ins that you need to install to your browser. Okay, so now see, this is, I selected Firefox. So if you select the HTML, you can see all the HTML code for that page. And if you select this Firepath, like you can see in this path, see in this list, you can see XPath, CSS. Okay, so if you want to know the XPath of an object, we have to use the Firepath. Okay, so now let's say if I'm selecting XPath in the list, I will go and click on this find element and again select the object, see, edit box. And if you see here, see, it's giving me a XPath of that object. This is one of the property of that object. Okay, see, I'll copy this, come to the tool, see, driver dot find element, see, by dot XPath, see, like this. And in the codes, you need to provide this, whatever the property of that object is. Okay, and then see, dot send keys, because it's an edit box and you want to send some value to it. So let's say I'm password as, let's say, tester. Okay, that's it, and semicolon, end it. Okay, so this is how you can do it with the help of the XPath. So we used ID, we used name, and we used XPath. And in the same way, let's say we want to click on this button. Like let's say we want to click on this sign in button. Okay, so again, like let's say, and now I want to use the CSS. Okay, see, highlight and select the object. Okay, and the CSS is, see this one, hash sign in submit something, whatever the value is. Just copy that, go to the tool, see driver dot find element by dot CSS. Okay, see by dot CSS selector. Okay, so now what it will do is, like using this, we can give the name of that CSS, like whatever the property that we got. Okay, so let's see like this. Okay, and put a dot, let's say it's a button, so we have to click it. So let's save it like this. Okay, generally this CSS, like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Better to use ID. If the object has a ID or a name, it's better to use a ID or name. And XPath also we can use it, but it's not recommended, because see, if you see this object, so it says HTML body div1 div1 div3 div something. Okay, so what it does is it takes the location of that object in the HTML file. Okay, so generally, like if you know the HTML, you will understand what this is. So every HTML file will have some different tags. First, it's to start with a HTML head, then body, then inside that body, like you have div. Like see, for example, let's say if I go to the application, right click and say view source. Okay, this view source will show you the code that is present for this to display this page. So when you do a view source, okay, so you can see the HTML code for that page. See like this. And if you see here, this is HTML, and there will be one end tag for the HTML. And see, if you see here, okay, like there is a lot of code in this, because to display just one page, like we have to write a lot of code for that. Okay, see, this much of code is there. Okay, and generally like they have different tags like start tag and the end tags. Okay, so like this, so in case if anything is changed, let's say next time this div1 they removed it. Okay, instead of putting it one place, let's say that message has been or that button is placed at some other location. So what will happen, our code will not be able to recognize it. Okay, so that's the reason, like it's better to use a name or a ID if that object has it. In case if the name and ID are not present, then we can go with the XPath. Okay, but it's better to go with a name and a ID itself. So let's save this. Even if a name and ID of that object changes, okay, like our code will not work. You need to come back to the code and you need to update it. Like for example, like now it's email, and let's say developers have changed that from, or the client wanted to change from email to, let's say, enter email, and the developers will go and change that object name from email to enter email. And when you execute your code, like your script, that will not work, because our script is trying to find a object with the name email, but as the developers have changed it from email to something else, like script will not find it. So again, if they change it, we need to come back to our script and we also need to update it, because the property of the object has been changed. Okay, so let's save this and run it. Right click, run as Java application. So it opened the browser, you click on that sign on link, see it entered username password, and it clicked on that sign on. See, you got the error message here. And now it says, like whatever the error message, as our username and password is wrong, it gave this message to us. Okay, so whatever the code that we have written, it's working. So this is how you can find the objects and you can perform some task on it. So either you can do ID, name, XPath or CSS selector. Okay, and the next one that we have is the link text. This is only for the links. Let's say if you want to find a link, like we will use this link text property. Okay, we'll see that, like we'll see where and try to click something. Okay, so this is how you can find the objects and perform some operations on that object. Okay, so generally in like testing, what we do, we will go into the application, we do some tasks, and we'll verify that. Okay, for example, now let's say our scenario that we are testing is entering the wrong username and password, and when you click on the sign on button, it needs to display this message like to better protect your account or some error message. So our test case says that you need to verify this error message is displayed after entering username and password, like wrong username and password. So what we need to do, so far like we verified this text, like we entered, like we launched the application and entered it. Now our main target should be to verify this message. Okay, so how to verify that is we need to first get this message from the application, and then we need to check whether that message is matching with our input value. Okay, input means whatever that is there in the requirement is there in the application or not. Okay, so to do that, again, even this one we need to get it, like with the help of the property that we have to that object, we need to find that object and we need to get that text. So how to do that is, see, let's say I'll come to the Firefox and I'll enter, let's say, selenium something at test.com. Okay, and password, let's say tester. And if you see here, click on sign on. Okay, and it says there was a problem, we cannot find an account with that email. Okay, so let's say this is our expected message, like this is what we want to get. So let me give the same email ID here so that we'll get that message. Okay, so now I want to check whether this message is displayed or not. So how I can do that is same thing, like get the property of that object. Okay, so let's say I'll go back to HTML view and I'll use this highlight element and I'll select this message. Okay, and if you see here, this is a div class which has all the message, and above that you have something ID. Okay, if you select it, still it also highlights that there was a problem message there. If you see here, we can get this ID and find that object. Okay, then click, then let's wait for a second, thread dot sleep, let's say 2000 milliseconds. Okay, and then now driver dot find element, okay, by dot ID, this whatever the name of that object, property of that object, then dot. So now we don't want to click, okay, and we don't want to enter some data into it, but what we want to do is we want to get the message or some value from it. Okay, or get the text that is associated to that object. Okay, so we have a method for that, get text. Okay, so what this will do is it will find that object, and then once it finds that object, it will get the text that is associated to that object. Okay, so it's giving us some value, like it's picking up a value from the application and it is giving it to us. So we need to catch that because we are getting some text out of that code, so we need to catch that. And as this is a string, I'll say string, let's say err message equal to this, string error message equal to driver dot find element by dot id dot get text. Okay, and let's display this message. Just use a system util dot run. Okay, and I can say error message is plus this error message, err message. So let's save it, close this application and run it again. Run as Java application. Okay, we got that error message. So let's go back to the browser and see, error message is there was a problem, we cannot find an account with that email address. Okay, so we got it, whatever the text that is there in the application. Okay, and in case if you want to compare it, let's say you already have it in your requirement, like that, whatever the expected error message. Okay, so what do we need to do? So let's say, for example, see, string exp message, expected message equal to this. Okay, expected error message equal to this. Okay, so error message is this. So now we want to do, like, you want, see, this is, let's say we got this message from our application, okay, or from the requirements. So our requirements document says that this is what the error message should come when you enter a wrong username and password. Okay, so now what we need to do, we have our expected message from our requirements, plus we also have the error message that we are getting it from the application. Now you need to compare. If both of them are same, then we need to pass it. If both, like if they are not same, then we need to fail the test case. Okay, so any idea how we can do that? I'm unmuting you all. Let me know if anyone knows that. I want to compare those two texts and I want to display the result.
We can use compare.
Okay, I can use a compare. Then what else?
If else condition.
Equals.
Yes, that's true. So we need to use the if else condition and we need to also use the compare method because we want to compare them. And based on the comparison result, we want to write we want to write something, like makes some decision whether it is pass or fail. Okay, so I'm muting you all and back to the code. So what I'll do is I'll write a if else here. Okay, so I'll just come up, see, if, press a control space, and let's say, see, I'll select this if else statement. So if condition is, let's say, see, sorry, error message equal to expected message. Okay, we need to give double equal to, because if it is one single equal to in Java, it will like initiate, like it will pass the message whatever that you are assigning from to the other variable. Okay, so we need to use the double equal to, or we can also use the other one, like that is a inbuilt function. See, error message dot equals ignore case. You can either use equals, or you can also use, if you want to just ignore the case, then we have to use equal ignore case. Okay, and now the other message, expected message, like this. And if both of them are same, then I want to say system.util.run, sorry, system.out.println. See, I want to say pass, just pass. Else system.out.println fail, like this. Okay, so let's do this and see. Save it. Okay, better to do proper indentation, okay, so that it's clear for us to understand the code. For our understanding, I'm leaving a line after each line of code, but we don't need to. We can just do it like this, like this. Okay, and now see, let's execute and see. So we are displaying the error message as well as we are also displaying the pass fail message. Okay, see, let's run it and see. We can close the old browser. Even if it is there, still it opens a new session, so that should not be a problem. See, Java application. So it executed the code and see, it says error message is this and it failed. Okay, any idea why it got failed? Okay, so like why it got failed is, see, if you see here, this is two messages. like it's coming in two different lines, like there is a new line character. Okay, so and because the object that we selected has a big message, but here we are giving it directly, so that's the reason it got failed. Okay, so instead ignore equals to, like we can say that error message, or I can just say that this expected message dot contains. Okay, I can just check for contains. So like the previous one, what it will do, it will go and check whether both the messages are same or not. Okay, but as we are getting some character in there, we can just check whether some message is present or not. Okay, so instead of passing everything, I'll just pass this. We can also do this. So expected message dot contains error message. Okay, so whatever that we are getting, we are just verifying whether this message is present in the other message or not. Okay, so this is also one of the inbuilt method that is present in the Java. So let's save this and run it. See, now I'm not closing the old browser, it's still there itself. So even if I run it, it will open a new Internet Explorer, like new session of the Internet Explorer. It does not kill the old one, and it does not have any problem recognizing the objects also. Okay, so this still failed because expected error message is there was a problem dot contains. Okay, it should be vice versa actually. Error message and expected message. See, run it. Now it should pass. No, looks like some issue. Okay, let me close everything and rerun. So it executed and now it's passed. See? Okay, so generally, like in case if you get only single message, you can just compare it directly. But like if you want to check something is present in some a big message, then we can use this contains. So we are just checking whether there was a problem is present or not. And we can also say we can also check whether this message is also present or not. All we need to do is change that our expected message. Okay, and something like this. So let's save it. Okay, so this is how, like using the get text, we can get the text of that specific object. Okay, so now let's say we are in this place. Okay, and now let's say there is something in the edit box, like see this value is there in the edit box and I want to capture that value. Okay, so even we can do that. Like now get text, we can use this for a specific object like web elements, like elements, you can get the text of it. But like say this is the edit box and we cannot use a get text for a edit box. Okay, because it is not a text object. It's a edit box where you can enter some text into it. So if it is a edit box, like we need to use something else. Like what it is see, like let's say driver dot find element. So let's get the ID of it or some object property of it. See this, and see you have the ID of it. Okay, or the name, whatever that we used previously also we can use it, but let's use a different one. See by dot ID, and we have to do this dot. See, so now I cannot use a get text because it's not a text object, it's a edit box. So if it is a edit box, like what we need to do is we need to use something called as get attribute. Okay, so what this get attribute is, it's kind of a method to get some value of that object, okay, or a property of that object. Okay, for example, see, if you want to get the ID of it, we can get the ID. If you want to get a class, we can do it. And if you see something, there is a property called value, and value has whatever the text that is present in that edit box. See, selenium 1 at something at test.com. So whatever the text that is present in that object is displayed in there. See, like this. Name, if you want to get the name, know the name of it, we can get the name property. If you want to get the type of it, see, you can get the type email. So whatever it is. So there is a property called value, and which has selenium at the test.com. So we can get this value. See, in the quotes, give value and in the semicolon. Okay, so using get attribute, we can get the property of that object. Okay, and again, this is getting some value. It's retrieving a value from the application. So we need to cache that. Okay, because if you want to use it, we need to store into a variable. So as it is a string, see, I'll say string, let's say email value equal to this. Okay, and I can display or do whatever that I want to. I can verify, I can use it in some other location, or use whatever that I want to do with that email value. So let's say I want to just display it, system.out.println, okay, and I'll say email is plus this email value, like this. Okay, email is plus email value. Okay, see, let's run this and see. Okay, might be done. Let's go back and see. Error message, it got that error message. Then the if loop, whatever that we put, is passed, and also see, email is selenium, like whatever that I gave at test.com. Okay, so if you want to get the text of a object, we can use get text. And if you want to get the attribute or a property of that object, we need to use this get attribute. Get attribute and whatever the name of that whatever the property that you want to get. Okay, so this is how we can get the attribute of it. Okay, and not only that, see, not only this get attribute, get text, click, clear, like click, we have some other methods also on that object. See, for example, let's say if you take this edit box, okay, I'll just copy it here. Okay, see, driver.find element ap email, and if you put a dot, see, it will display all the methods that you can perform on that object. Okay, see, if you want to clear whatever that is there in that edit box, we can use this clear method. Okay, clear will remove whatever the text that is present in there. Okay, see this clear. See, let me save this. So now what generally happens, like after everything is, after we picked up, there is a value here, like selenium test at whatever.com. So using that line of code, we can clear it. See, I'll close everything. I'll say dot clear. If I run this, see. Okay, see, it cleared it. Now you don't have, previously there was a text in there. So now with that line of code, it cleared whatever that is there in that edit box. Okay, you can use the clear like that. And not only clear, see, driver dot, like you can click on that object, you can check whether that is equal to something else or not. You can find the element, like you can get the attribute, you can get a class, you can get the CSS value, and you can see, get the location of it, like X and Y coordinates, like you can get the location of that object also. Okay, and see, get the size of it in case if that object has some value, like how many maximum values that you can enter in that edit box. And if you want to know that, you can get this with the help of this get size of. Okay, get tag name, like get text. Okay, and if you want to check whether it is displayed or not, see displayed, okay, is displayed. If it is displayed, it will give you true. If it is not displayed, it will give you false. So one of the way to check whether an object is present or not. Okay, for example, like let's say when you are one of your test case says that open the browser, okay, and check, okay, for something like this. See, let me do this. Okay, see, for example, your test case says that once you launch the browser, you need to check whether the Amazon homepage is displayed or not. So how we can make sure that whether the Amazon page is displayed? See, let me go back to the Amazon homepage. So our test case says that like launch the browser and verify whether the Amazon homepage is displayed or not. So how we can make sure? If you are doing it manually, we'll go to the application and check whether after launching this URL, whether this Amazon link is present or not, or some message is present or not. Okay. If you want to do with the script, what we'll do, we have to verify whether that object is one of the object on the home page is present or not. Okay. So either a Amazon try this prime or this departments button or this text message or something. Okay. Or this sell link, gift link, today's deals link, one of the object, and we'll verify whether it is. By that we'll make sure that the object is displayed. Okay, and for that, see, we can use this is displayed driver dot. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll use this object. Okay, so that means like if that object is present, then I know that home page is displayed. See, like this, driver dot find element by dot id, see, dot is displayed, like this. You also have is enabled, is selected, so you can check whatever it is. And if you say is displayed, and see, if you see here it says boolean, that means it's going to return a boolean value. Boolean in the sense either a true or a false. See, is displayed and semicolon. Okay, so I have to say boolean, let's say something is disp equal to this. Okay, and I'll say system.out.println, okay, home page verification, something home page verification is plus is displayed, is true or false will come, like this. Okay, so let's run it and see. So it's going to just check whether that object is displayed or not. You can check displayed, is whether it's some object is enabled or not, all these kinds of things. Okay, so let's go back and see. Home page verification is true. Okay, so true is what we received it from the application. Okay, or you can also check if is displayed equal to true, then you can say pass, home page verification is come good. Okay, if not, fail, something else, like that. So you can also check your that message value. Okay, what are the value that we received from the application. So this is how you can also check if an object is present or not on the application. And to get the message, you can use this get text or get attribute, and you can verify, compare it with your value or with your expected value. Okay, not only this, like in some of the scenarios, let's say we want to navigate in the browser. For example, let's say we are coming here and let's say we want to click on this back button, okay, and come to this page. Okay, so those kind of things also we can do it from the application or from our code. Okay, so if you want to work anything with the browser related, like clicking on the back button, clicking on the front button, closing the browser, like what we need to do is see driver dot close. Close is to close the browser. Okay, it will kill the browser. Okay, and see something like this, browser dot close. And in the same way, see there are some other methods also. All we need to do is see driver dot, and it will give you all the methods that you can perform on that object. And see if you want to get the title, see get class, get current URL, So what this will do is it will give you the URL of the application, or whichever the URL in the sense, let's say, see, you are on this page, and if you say get URL, it will give you this URL to us. Okay, so let's just display that and see system.out.println, and I'll copy this line of code and paste it here. Okay, so it will just display the URL, or I can say some message here, see something like this, URL is plus this, which will get the URL of the application. And I can also say, see, driver dot let's say move forward, or like, let's say if you want to get the title of that browser. So title in the sense, see, like if you see here, see, this is Amazon sign in. So this is the title of the page. And if you want to get the title, we can use this get title, driver dot, see, get title, like this, which will give me the title. So let's even display that system.out.println, okay, title, or I can say page title is plus this. So I'm just displaying it, or if you want, like, we can compare it with your input or whatever that you want to do. And in the same way, see, driver dot, like, get title, get window handle, like, and navigate. Like if you want to go to a different browser, you can also use navigate. See, all of them like this. You can quit, then see, like this. Okay, and you also have, yeah, in case if you want to go back, see, driver dot navigate dot, see, back. So what it will do, it will click on the back button or something like this, like it will click on this back button of the browser. Okay, and in case if you want to move forward, like you can also do that. See, driver dot navigate dot forward. Okay, so which will move forward page, like it will click on the forward. And finally this driver dot close will close the browser. See, let's save this and run everything. Let's close this and run it. So it clicked on the back, it clicked on the front, forward, and it closed the browser. See, now the browser is closed. And not only that, see, it got the URL amazon.ap/sign-on, and see, this is the title of that page. Okay, so like this, like if you want to get anything related to the browser, we need to do the driver dot directly onto that whatever that you want to perform. Okay, and if you want to do something on the object, then we need to find that object and perform your action on it. Okay, so these are the things that we generally do on the browser as well as in the objects in the application. Okay, so try to practice it and let me know, like, if you have any questions. Okay, this is the main thing, like this is what exactly you will be doing it in the real-time scenarios also. Okay, and most of the companies, they use WebDriver itself. Like this is what they do, using a WebDriver itself, they will work with the application. Okay, window, like browser based applications, this is how they do it. Okay, so we have to find the objects, enter some data into it, then get the messages, get the text out of it, and compare like this. Okay, so how will be using Java is, see, this is the Java code itself, like the if loop. This is what from the core Java itself. So this is how we can use the core Java code. Okay, this is like we just use the if. In the same way, whatever the other things that we learned, we will be using it. Okay, and we use if condition, we use the main method, we use the class, like creating the class, creating a main method. So all these are part of Java itself. And see, thread.sleep, this is from Java itself. And other than this, all the other things that we learn is from the WebDriver. Okay, so any questions, or is it clear? Okay, let me unmute. Let me unmute. Okay, so there is one question like in testing, do we use connecting to database? Yes, yeah, we do connect to the database, like which we'll see like in the later classes, like how to connect to database, execute a query, get the record set, and get the data from that record set. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, or is it clear like whatever that we covered? Okay, but I would suggest practice. This is like a must thing that you need to practice. So I'm not sure if you guys have practiced whatever that we covered, but these things are very, very important, like Java as well as WebDriver. So don't miss it. Try to practice as much as possible. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what I'm expecting from today's class is like probably what you guys can do is try the same thing on Amazon itself. Whatever that we created just now, try to practice that multiple times. Do the same thing 2 times, 3 times until you are comfortable with the code. Once you are done with that, go to some other application. You can use the demoaut.com. Okay, so if you go to the demoaut, okay, so let me mute you guys. See, so what you can do is try to create a code to click on this register and entering all the details like first name, last name, phone number, enter all these details into the application and click on submit button. Okay, once you submit, verify the message is coming, like let's say this register is coming or not. Okay, and after that then click on the sign off button, then go to let's say sign on. Okay, and try to enter the username, password, click on submit and go into the application. See, the username and password for this is Mercury. Okay, enter this, then try to enter all these details and purchase a ticket. Okay, so click on this, enter all the details, then come here, click on continue. Okay, enter all the details here, click on this ticketless travel, same as billing, try to do everything. Okay, even checkbox is also same, like find the object, click on it, dot click. So how we used it for the link, and then click on the secure purchase and verify whether you are getting this message, either that or this flight confirmation message. Okay, verify this flight confirmation message. Okay, so try this, practice this and send me the code. Okay, so write the code, copy that into a notepad and attach it and send it to like my email. Okay, so try to do it before Friday, or if you guys cannot do it, at least over the weekend. By next Monday, I'm expecting this from all of you guys. Okay, so practice this and let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, so this is, like I said, like very, very important. So that's why I'm asking you to practice and send it to me. Okay, so let's stop.